2 days in a row, the president of America, Donald Trump, has interestingly taken shot at Bukele, the leader of El Salvador. Why is Donald Trump attacking El Salvador and criticizing Bukele's policies now, literally 3 days before the Bitcoin conference, where Donald Trump is scheduled to speak? And at the same conference that Bukele announced, El Salvador was going to be making Bitcoin legal tender in 2021. Almost as if Bukele owned the Bitcoin conference. Until Trump speaks at 2024, who knows? But for those who might have missed the news, we're going to be talking about all of this and more today. But we're also going to be looking at the 2 videos of Donald Trump that have come out on consecutive days of him bashing El Salvador and Bukele after not talking about the country for years. So what is going on in El Salvador? Well, let's try to play the videos, and fingers crossed it works. We had producer Pam working overtime here, trying to get the audio working. So let me know in the chat if these videos and their audio is not working.
Meanwhile, our crime rate is going up while crime statistics all over the world are going down because they're taking their criminals and they're putting them into our country, a certain country. And I happen to like the president of that country very much, but he's been getting great publicity because he's a wonderful shepherd of the country. He says how well the country's doing because their crime rate is down. And he said he's training all of these rough people. They're rough. He's training them. And I've been reading about this for 2 years. I think, oh, that's wonderful. Let's take a look at it. But then I realized he's not training them. He's sending all of his criminals, his drug dealers, his people that are in jails. He's sending them all to the United States. And he's different in that he doesn't say that. He's trying to convince everybody what a wonderful job he does in running the country. Well, he doesn't do a wonderful job. And by the way, if I ran one of the countries, many countries from all over, I would be worse than any of them. I would have had the place totally emptied out already.
So let's play the last 5 seconds because I think it's really interesting.
A wonderful job. And by the way, if I ran one of the countries, many countries from all over, I would be worse than any of them. I would have had the place totally emptied out already.
So Donald Trump would have cleaned up a country if he was president of one of these countries. Well, let's not forget, Donald Trump was the leader of America between 2016 and 2020. And ask yourselves, if you've been to America during those years, did the country improve? Was it cleaned up with gang crime? Were there less criminals in America? I don't think so. I think the trend has only accelerated, especially post-2008. Western countries all around the world have only gotten more dangerous. There's only been more drugs proliferated. How do you say that word? Proliferated in the countries, which is causing more and more crazy people hopped up on drugs, creating a lot of violence and joining a lot of gangs and doing a lot of desperate things to get their fix of the next hot drug. Okay? Donald Trump, to my knowledge, he didn't reverse any of that. He had 4 years of opportunity to do that, but he didn't. Interesting. Just a little rant I wanted to go on. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really passionate about that because Trump just said a lot of things that just were not true in that interview. He didn't clean up the country, okay? He's masquerading as if I had a chance, I would have cleaned up the country. No, you didn't. You had 4 years between 2016 and 2020. You didn't do anything. You were the one who embarked on Operation Warp Speed in 2020. It's not very safe. It's not a very nice policy that your citizens should be welcoming. That's almost as if putting a criminal in your own home. Operation Warp Speed, you're putting an unknown foreign agent into your body. You be really careful with what I say here, but you guys know what I'm talking about if you know. So Donald Trump, he says that. Something else that's completely wrong. He says El Salvador is shipping the criminals over to America's doorstep. I'm not Salvadorian, but that's not what history shows. Surely history is the exact opposite. Surely the MS-13 gang was shipped from California and America widely to El Salvador. Didn't America deport all of these criminals back to El Salvador? So Trump's kind of got his knickers in a knot here and his wires are a little bit crossed. He's certainly not having a Biden moment, but what he's saying is not aligning with reality. because we know that there's 65,000 gang members in prisons right now in El Salvador. If you don't believe me, I didn't prepare. I should have prepared. But I'm pretty sure I can find a video of El Salvadorian jail cells right now being absolutely overran with criminals. But Donald Trump's saying, oh, no, no, no. El Salvador's sending them here. They're sending them to our country.
Gang violence. Thousands of alleged gang members stripped down to expose their tattoos in a brand new mega prison set to house 40,000 inmates.
Todos estos pandilleros terroristas no van a regresar nunca a las comunidades.
Gangs turned El Salvador's murder rate into one of the highest in the world. And to end this cycle of violence, the country's president, Nayib Bukele, ordered a crackdown in March last year, arresting more than 66,000 people since then. Communities say the streets are safer, but rights groups and some residents argue that this change has come at a high price, that innocent men and women and even minors have been rounded up and held indefinitely without access to lawyers.
Okay, so I recommend you check out the full video. That video obviously highlights both sides of the story of what has happened in El Salvador. Sadly, some even innocent people have been locked up, but 68,000 gang criminals have been locked up in prisons in El Salvador. They haven't been shipped back to the shores of America like Donald Trump is trying to have you believe. So the fact that he's just painted so many lies in that 1-minute clip about El Salvador and Bukele, it's really got me thinking. It's nearly tinfoil hat time, and it's really got me thinking, is there an ulterior motive here? Why is Donald Trump speaking out of his ass? I mean, I actually agree with a lot of the things that Trump is saying today on his political campaign push. And I also agreed with a lot of the things that Donald Trump was saying in 2016. Again, I don't play politics. I don't vote for politicians. I don't think you should believe in any politician. But Trump is one of the better ones in the world, I believe. Okay? So again, I know I'm going a little bit crazy today. I need to try to rein myself in, but just be careful. Okay? It really makes you think, why is he bashing Bukele and El Salvador? I didn't get it until I did some digging. I did some thinking. We're going to be talking about that and what I think I might have found. But I want to first play you the next video of Donald Trump. Before we do, let's actually have a look at what's going on Twitter, because there's some banter happening on Twitter right now. Max Kaiser, one of El Salvador's most famous, let's call him a spokesperson, moved to El Salvador with his amazing wife, Stacey, doing amazing things for the country. He said this: guy on the left, most popular leader in the world. Guy on the right, cheats at golf. Thought that was just a great meme. Brilliant meme. Bukele, and then you got Trump. I can't talk. I got a wild haircut, but I thought that was interesting. But I also thought this was interesting. This is a video that came out 2 days ago. And again, you'll notice this is a different background. So this is a different day, same message, same attack on Bukele and El Salvador, a tiny little country in Latin America. Again, ask yourself, El Salvador's got 6 million citizens. Why is Donald Trump, the potential next leader of a country with 360 million people, concerned about what's going on in El Salvador? Why? I don't know. We're going to try to find the answer to that question, but let's make sure we're fully informed first, and let's watch this other video, which came the day before the previous video I just showed you of Trump also bashing El Salvador.
So El Salvador is an interesting one because I know the president. He's a young guy, and he's been getting this great press that his crime rate's way down, and they're training their criminals. Well, you don't train criminals, okay? You know, maybe every once in a while you get lucky, but you don't. So in El Salvador, murders are down 70%. He's saying, yes, we're teaching. He's different. Most of them just say, well, the United States is stupid, so we're dumping all our criminals there. He does it differently, smart. He goes, we're working with our people that are causing problems and crime. And he's not working with them. He's dumping them in the United States. And their crime rate, their murder rate is down 72%, 73%. So El Salvador is an interesting one because I know.
So this is interesting because he says a couple of truths in this speech. But he says the same thing. El Salvador's dumping the criminals in the US. It's not true. Not true at all. We showed you guys the video of 68,000 gang members being locked up in El Salvador. So this is the truth. We can see El Salvador has just become safer than the US in 2023. Is this the reason for why Trump is unexplainedly attacking Bukele? Because Bukele showed that if a president actually gets elected, he can change the country. Donald Trump was elected in 2016 to 2020, campaigning on, the promise to drain the swamp and make America great again, and he didn't. If anything, he did better things than Biden. Again, nothing's black or white. Everything's a spectrum. I prefer Trump over most people, but he didn't really clean up the country. Definitively. If anything, it's continued to get worse, but not El Salvador. Bukele has exposed every single prime minister, politician, and leader around the world today because he showed you that it can be done. Think about this for a minute. Bukele can't even print his own money. Everything that's happened in that country has come from tax-paying dollars. If America really wanted to go to war with the gangs and clean up the drugs in the street, they could literally just print dollars to fund these campaigns and employ more, military people and, more people to go to war with the drugs. So a potential reason, we are going to discuss a few, but a potential reason for why I think maybe Trump could be a little bit angry at Bukele is because Bukele's actually improved the country and he's exposed the sham of, democracy and all of these other leaders around the world laughing and saying, look, we want to improve the country, but we can't. There's all of these things that we can't control. Like 2020 created all of the inflation around the world. We can't control inflation. A virus caused all of this inflation. Or Putin's price hike. Who remembers Putin's price hike? America blames the highest inflation that they've seen in 50 years on Putin. But what has Javier Milei just proved? I don't know if you guys know this or not. I don't actually have any receipts on it. I know I do somewhere. But Argentina just recorded their first month of 0% inflation in food. Believe me or not, here it is. I'm going to try to bring up this article so you guys can see it. Argentina records record first week of zero inflation in 30 years. Milei claims he's redefining economic theory. June 25th, 2024. So this is recent. This is new. I haven't done a video on it yet. I plan on doing it because I think it is interesting. Milei and Bukele are exposing the scam of these bureaucrats in power who tell you inflation's a problem we can't solve. It's Putin's price hike. It was a virus. A virus created inflation. Whoa, really? It wasn't the fact you expanded the monetary supply by 40% in a year. Pretty interesting that the price of everything you want to buy, food, groceries, rent, housing costs, electricity, it all went up by about 40%. Almost the same amount as the monetary supply was increased. So again, is this a reason? We got a lively chat. We got a very lively chat. I'm going to work my way through my comments, I promise. But is this a reason for why Donald Trump is attacking El Salvador? I'm going to say that is reason number one. Because El Salvador is proving that you can actually improve a country. And the reason for why these Western countries are declining is because they want it to get worse. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit more about the self-controlled demolition and how these governments plan on paying back their debt, but it all comes down to simple economics, okay? And a little bit of a Cantillon effect. We're going to talk about that in a second. Before we do, smash the likes, as Tyler says. We would appreciate that. I try my best to remember recent history. Thank you, Satwise. Phil makes a great point. To be fair, Trump did not mandate things like Biden. Something else to remember, the things or the medicine was not actually available when Trump was in office. So he couldn't mandate something that wasn't available. But from all intents and purposes, he wanted to make that available at warp speed. We need it immediately. So Pam is actually the expert on El Salvador. maybe we can get Pam in here to give us to confirm whether or not what I said was true. Because I'm just working off memory, but from memory, America deported all of the MS-13 gang people to El Salvador in the 1980s and the 1990s. I've only watched a few documentaries about it. Pam's actually lived in the country, so she might know more than me. Debbie, you don't know what you're talking about. Don't bash Trump. You look like a fool with the power law, and you're doing it again. I respect your opinion, Debbie. I will continue to say what I think is what I believe in online. Again, like I said, I trust Trump more than most politicians in the world. Don't forget that. Out of 180 presidents around the world, Trump's probably my third favorite, if I had to pick one. If I was in America, I'd probably be voting for Trump. I think he's going to do better things than Biden. But again, I think we need to be careful not to just blindly trust politicians who promise to solve our problems that cannot even be solved by politicians. Okay? A lot of the problems around the world today are monetary problems. And unless Trump puts America on a Bitcoin standard, he's not doing what he could be doing. Satwise says that Bill Clinton rounded up the US MS-13 gang members from Los Angeles, Southern California, and sent them to El Salvador. Bukele fixed the problem without returning any to the US. There you have it. There you have it. Cheats at golf. I enjoyed that meme too. I thought that was funny. How many of you guys are on Twitter? I want to know. Pam's in the Twitter chat and the YouTube chat by the looks of it. Producer Pam's doing well. Felipe's in the Twitter chat. I don't see many others in the Twitter. If you are on Twitter and you don't want to listen to my boring voice in 1x speed, you can jump on over to YouTube and you can actually listen to things on 2x speed on YouTube, 1.5x speed or 1.25x speed. You can do whatever you want. Got some funny comments in here. Really funny comments. Trump wants Bukele's Bitcoin. This is a simple political move. Simple as that. I mean, there's conspiracy theories out there that Bukele is connected to some branch of the US government, and the US government wants to see what would happen if a Bitcoin standard were implemented on their continent. And they're just trying to learn more about it because they're incentivized to do the same. You guys know I've actually talked about this for a long time on the channel. It's been my view since 2021 that the monetization of Bitcoin benefits America more than it benefits any other country around the world. Okay, it's the Bitcoin milkshake theory. So again, I'm on board with this potential conspiracy theory. Maybe Trump wants Bukele's Bitcoin. Maybe America wants Bukele's Bitcoin. Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me. When you really look into the history of America's roots in Latin America and all of the color revolutions and all of the strange operations that have happened in Latin America that have had American influence, wouldn't surprise me if there's, like, again, nothing's for certain in the world, but maybe there's a 1% probability that Bukele is connected to the US somehow. And this is an experiment for the US to see what would hypothetically happen with a Bitcoin standard. Maybe. I don't know. Just putting ideas out there. Elaine makes a great point. And again, Elaine's opinion is a great one because she's been to the country. I met Elaine in El Salvador. She's an amazing Bitcoiner. And she says, Bukele changed his country, which means we can change too. Thanks to Bitcoin, we will. But we'll have plenty of stupid to deal with until we get there. I agree. And I think it's really cool of, what El Salvador and what Argentina is doing with their countries. They're doing really, really great things. They're doing incredible things. Sailor for Treasury. That would be interesting. That would be very interesting. That would be incredibly interesting indeed. Cosmo makes a funny comment. I'm actually going to make a video about my caffeine addiction. Well, not an addiction. I just always like coffee. I work a lot. I do need a lot more sleep right now. I'm actually, Pam and I have had a big couple of weeks. We did 5 countries in Europe in like 11 days. So that involved a lot of time zone shifting. And yeah, I certainly do need more sleep. Thank you for the constructive criticism. I do need that. KOB says, Luke, better you assume Trump's reading intelligence reports. They have to hand them to presumptive nominees in general elections. Who knows what Trump is reading? Trump was reading the word of Fauci in 2020. Geez, I don't even know if I can get through all these comments. The live stream is absolutely buzzing. Okay, let me unveil. It's unveil. Let me unveil the second reason for why I think Trump has attacked Bukele. Okay, because I think this is maybe the more likely one. Okay, now it has to do with this headline. Ads, go away. This headline right here. China ties work to Bukele's advantage in El Salvador's upcoming election. China's economic model is attractive, and Bukele has been skilled at courting Chinese engagement to boost his popularity at home. Boy, that's interesting. Very interesting. So El Salvador, I'm not going to make claims. I'm just going to show you the article first, okay? So Bukele, the current prime minister, who's been there in 5 years, successfully utilized Chinese investments and donations to build his own image of competency, okay? So that's a direct quote. China has invested a lot of money into El Salvador. That's a fact, okay? It's not a it's not nothing. But we can see here from a separate article in, I'm going to call this Reuters. I can never pronounce this. I got roasted here on the channel a while ago for trying to pronounce Reuters as routers. US men's fences with El Salvador's Bukele as China lurks. So these are all 2024 articles, right? So El Salvador has these kind of relationships with El Salvador. We can also see here, China increases its interest in Central America. El Salvador is the last puzzle piece. I'm not going to read all of these articles. We've been going for 20 minutes already, guys, and we just got off a, how long were we going for a minute ago? We're like a 30-minute live stream or something a second ago. Yeah, Pam came in to remind me. I wasn't sharing my screen. Thanks, honey. We can see here, this is the article, China increases its interest in Central America. Cool little map we're going to look at in a second. And then this was the other article I was showing you, US men's fence with El Salvador. So is this potentially a tension? Trump is the anti-China guy. He's the one, China, we need to stop China. How does he say it? I don't know how he says China, but it's funny. Trump is always talking about the need to firstly speak English. Pam's roasting me in the chat. Trump is always talking about the need to put tariffs on China. Okay, let's get back on track here. Trump is always talking about, he was the one who kind of, brought this idea back to life. China has benefited from the rise of globalism over the past 30 to 40 years more than any other country has. Singapore, arguably, in the 1960s, went from a third world country, where it's just dirt in Singapore, to today having the third highest GDP per capita in Singapore. They did that in a very rapid period of time. In a decade, they completely transformed themselves. And that was in the 1960s. But any other country who has benefited most from globalization is China. I want to actually show you how incredible Singapore's growth rate was. I want to try to find a chart. It's absolutely nuts what this country did, just so you guys know what I'm actually talking about. Frantically trying to find some charts. This is a great one. Let's have a look at this one so you guys can see how quickly Singapore was transformed in the 1960s. Oh, look at the blurry chart. What's that? That's terrible. Absolutely terrible. I feel ashamed to even show you that chart. It's disgusting. Let me try a different one. Sorry, guys. Let's try. Let's try this one here. I think this is a little bit better. So it's that annual GDP just explodes in the 1970s. This chart doesn't really show you exactly what I want to show you, because what I want to show you was a really, really, really incredible chart. It's just nuts. Absolutely nuts what Singapore did. Maybe it's this one here. Not that chart. Okay, I can't find the chart I wanted to show you, but again, takeaway. Let's get back on track, Luke. The takeaway is Singapore and China benefited a ton from globalization. A lot. Okay? Now we're moving into a different world. We're moving into a de-globalizing world. And I think China is actually set up to really suffer. And I actually think, funny enough, deglobalizing world is actually going to benefit America a lot more. But we can see what this globalizing world has actually done for China. This is one of my favorite images. Why do I keep getting blurry images? So you can, anyway, you guys get the point. The red on this chart is showing you who each country trades more with. So if you're in blue, like Mexico at the top here, that means that Mexico has more trade with America than China. Okay, you can see El Salvador here in blue, all of Central America, just below Mexico. That's all Central America. That's Panama, that's Guatemala, Honduras. That is, I'm forgetting the country. This is where you need Pam, producer Pam, the local Costa Rica, Panama, Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador. I think that's all the Central American countries, and Panama. Right now, they all trade more with America. But you can see all of South America, Peru, Brazil, Paraguay, Chile, Argentina, it's all red. And that's because they all do more trade with China than America. And now China's trying to work its way up to Central America. El Salvador, as we showed you guys with those articles, China's doing a lot of investments with El Salvador. So is this the reason for why Donald Trump is potentially calling out Bukele and El Salvador? Not sure. RB says Bukele is far right. How can he like China? And if I said that, there was a big slip of the tongue. Trump is the most anti-China guy ever. He absolutely hates China. As simple as that. So again, I think that's interesting. I still think the Bitcoin angle is an interesting angle here. Okay, I think the Bitcoin angle is a really interesting angle. I think maybe it's the fact El Salvador has taken sovereignty of their own money. They're holding the country's Bitcoin on a public Bitcoin address. Just think about how incredible that is right now. El Salvador is literally holding its Bitcoin in a public Bitcoin address. $400 million in a. I might actually show anyone who might not have seen it, because they published it on chain, so you can see the address. And this is revolutionary. This is the first country to do this, to actually say, okay, here's how much the country owns. It's public. You can see if we steal any of the country's treasury. You can directly see on chain by looking at this Bitcoin address that the Bitcoin has moved, or we're diluting the Bitcoin. I'm trying to find the image for you guys. So here's a pretty interesting article. El Salvador safeguards over 400 million in Bitcoin reserves. Okay, now we're cooking with gas. This is the original. This is what we wanted to see. This is Bukele's tweet. It came out March 14th, 2024. You can see, post a photo. He says, we've decided to transfer a big chunk of our Bitcoin to a cold wallet and store that cold wallet in a physical vault within a national territory. You can call it our first Bitcoin piggy bank. It's not much, but it's honest work. Pretty incredible that this is a tweet from a sitting prime minister or a president. Just incredible how different he is and how he contrasts so much to the mainstream media, the credentialists. And, I'm not going to go down that political rabbit hole. But again, El Salvador's taken sovereignty of their money. The US is not yet. Maybe that's the cause for the tension. Again, Bukele mentioned something really interesting there. They're taking sovereignty of their money, okay? If you guys want to take sovereignty of your own money, again, I always remind you guys, put your Bitcoin private seed words onto titanium. Check out everything our flagship sponsor Stampseed is doing. You guys can get 15% off absolutely anything you want to buy from Stampseed with a promo code Luke15. Okay. If your Bitcoin is, as you can see here, on paper, it is at serious risk. Okay. A wind could blow that out your window. Wind could literally blow your Bitcoin out your window. And you forget the PIN code to your Bitcoin hardware wallet, your Bitcoin's gone, okay? Let alone house fires, floods, dogs chewing on your piece of paper, or even babies ripping it up, okay? Even wind could take your Bitcoin away from you. So get steel, get titanium, sorry. Go get yourself some titanium and stamp your Bitcoin seed words onto it. Take sovereignty of your money. Nikki says, Gary Gensler will maybe the new candidate for the Democrats. That could be an interesting turn of events. Really could be an interesting turn of events. Who knows what the Democrats are doing? I don't know if you guys saw it, came out today, but Biden's officially stepping down. I believe Kamala Harris is the next person in charge. Guys, we've been going for a long time. Before we go, for anyone who missed the most recent live stream, I've got a slight announcement, so to say. Tomorrow, I'm going to be releasing the Michael Saylor interview. I had the opportunity to interview him in person in Prague recently at the BTC Prague conference. That interview is being dropped tomorrow. If you want to get your hands on a little bit of a sneak peek, I've put a teaser out in my Skool community, okay? So for those who missed the previous live stream, Skool is like a free community. It's like the best of everything combined together. Okay, so you can have lessons in here. So as you can see, there's like a community section where you guys can make posts, ask questions. Everybody in the community can, answer your questions. This also has a classroom section. So right now you can see the Michael Saylor video. I have a little sneak peek in there as we speak. Of the highlights trailer of my interview with Saylor. Let's see if the audio works. Give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek. Not going to play the whole video. You're going to have to go and join the Skool community to see it all, and the other videos that are uploading from my chat with Saylor. I'm actually uploading the full thing, and I'm going to put it up there on the Skool community tonight. Okay, so as you can see, I'm not going to show you the full video. You got to jump inside the Skool community to check it out. But again, I wanted to talk about the Skool community today because I've been working on this for a very long time. There's not just going to be sneak peeks of my up and coming interviews being released in the Skool community. I'm going to actually have guides and courses in there. So many people want to learn more about Bitcoin or wish there was a one-stop place for Bitcoin where you could just send a family and friend member to, and quick 2-minute lessons, 5 lessons, teaches you everything you need to know about Bitcoin. There's going to be courses in there on Bitcoin, courses in there about digital nomading, which are the best residencies to get, which are the best tax safe havens to go to. Where should I open a bank account if you got a bank account? I know there's some Bitcoiners still with bank accounts. Where are the best residencies? All of this stuff, okay? We're going to be talking about all of that in the community. And, just everything to do with working online, making money online, Bitcoin, absolutely everything's going to be in this community. We have weekly Q&A calls. So the really cool thing about this one platform, you get the post section. There's the classroom section where all the courses and interviews and sneak peeks will be. Then over here, you have a calendar, and you actually see the weekly Q&A calls on the calendar that you guys can join. Again, I know the live streams can be a little bit difficult to answer everybody's questions. But in Skool, we can jump on a Zoom recording. You guys can still join anonymously if you want. Turn your camera off and pick my brains for an hour. Okay, so again, each weekly Q&A call will be on this calendar. The first one is happening tomorrow at 6 p.m. my time. You can see the link is already there. So that is in the calendar. And then, this whole Skool community is super, super cool. You can see it it's like a gamified community, so to say. So the more you engage with the community, the more value you provide. You get some perks and some things to unlock. I haven't quite finished filling this section out yet, but I have some really cool surprises for you guys. So we've already said check out the Skool community. That'll be linked down below in the description. And with all that said, guys, I think I'm going to end this live stream here. As Elaine says, see you soon in Skool. You will see me in Skool. I probably spend more time in there, or I'm planning on spending more time in there than Twitter and these other super centralized platforms. I do like Skool because there is a day when my YouTube will be shut down. So we do need somewhere else to communicate. I think Skool's a really cool place that the YouTube community can hang out and chill and talk shit. So with all that said, guys, another 35-minute live stream. I'm going to end this one here. We've done 3 back-to-back today. Thank you so much to everyone who's tuned in today. It's been a really big day with Trump making really strange, so much going on with Trump right now. Trump and Diamond, Trump and Larry Fink, Trump bashing El Salvador 2 days in a row. Okay, I think the world is only going to get more and more noisy, so prepare for that. And with all that said, before I go on another tangent, I'm going to end this live stream here. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys.